So doctor, when you talk about diet, and you mentioned when you first started, you were giving the wrong advice. When you look at the Atkins diet, is that, that's gotten a lot of press, both good and bad. Is that closer to maybe what we should aim for?
Atkins was a brilliant nutritionist. He had the misfortune of being a really unlikable guy, and he certainly was the scapegoat for a lot of things that people felt were wrong with. It's how can this be? Eat bacon, and he would be a little bit incendiary. He would say, yeah, well, pork rinds are better than. Well, he was kind of right, but that's not the point. He became known as the doctor who recommended pork rinds, and nobody could wrap their minds around it. But the fact is that late period Atkins, not 1972 when he first wrote the book, but he did several revisions of it. We didn't even know what trans fats were in 1972, so you got to give him a break on that. But in the later versions of the Atkins diet, he was making a lot of sense. He was talking about insulin as being the driver of obesity. He was right about that. I don't think there's much disagreement about that anymore, and he was the first to talk about that. He was talking about carbohydrates being the drivers of insulin. He was right about that. You can do an Atkins-type diet. You can do it. There was a study done recently called the Eco-Atkins. They call it in the literature, it's known as the Eco-Atkins study. You can Google that under Eco-Atkins. It was a real study. And what they did is they put people on a vegan version of Atkins. Now, that's almost an oxymoron. But it was the same proportions of protein, carbs, and fat, except all the sources were vegan sources. And they still had improvements. I mean, we eat too many carbohydrates. So any way you strike it, reducing carbohydrates, particularly the grains and starches, not the fruits and vegetables, but the grains and starches that form the bulk of our diet, is a good thing. It's a good thing hormonally, metabolically, in terms of obesity, and in terms of heart disease. So he had a lot of things right, Atkins did.